Chapter 33-24. Bullshit. Hong Tianliang couldn't help but curse. He was confident that he was undefeatable in the blood transformation realm. But Long Chen actually said there were 3 ways to defeat him. First, Ling Han used the flying shuttle steps and instantly shot to twice the speed of sound. Under such high speed, even with his blood qi surging, Hong Tianliang was still unable to touch even the corner of his clothes. After flying at high speed for 3 minutes, Ling Han stopped and asked, "How was it?" Hong Tianliang was speechless. He hadn't expected Ling Han to be able to explode with such high speed, and even maintain it. If that was the case, Ling Han would definitely be able to last past his explosive period, and make him waste his trump card. That was what he was thinking, but his claw didn't stop, and once more slashed at Ling Han. Second, Ling Han said. His blood qi also began to surge, and he threw out a punch. Bang! The terrifying power collided and Hong Tianliang was instantly sent flying, his fingers twisting like a fried dough twist. My strength was originally meant to crush you. Ling Han's secret energy was even stronger than Hong Tianliang's, and with his blood qi surging, his secret energy had increased by 3 times, further increasing the gap between them. So if Hong Tianliang fought him head-on, he would only be asking for trouble, or even seeking his own death. Pung! Hong Tianliang fell to the ground, and he felt as if his confidence had fallen to the bottom of the valley along with him, shattered into pieces. He was confident that he had cultivated a special technique that allowed him to dominate the blood transformation realm. But in front of Ling Han, this seemingly invincible technique couldn't even withstand a single blow. As for the third, I feel like I should keep it a bit. There's no need to use it on you, said Ling Han. The third technique was of course his mental energy. The 9 flying swords were Ling Han's trump card. They could even kill peak bone realm experts, let alone second transformation blood transformation realm experts. Of course, strictly speaking, he still had a 4th technique, and that was formations. In the future, it would become Ling Han's second trump card. But he wouldn't reveal it for now. Hong Tianliang released a sorrowful laugh. He really hadn't thought that he would still be inferior to Ling Han after suffering so much in the past few months, and almost dying a few times. Only then did his strength obtain such a huge boost. Who would have thought that he would still be inferior to Ling Han? He didn't care about what Ling Han's third move was. In his opinion, it should be a magic weapon. Since it was able to kill an extreme bone realm warrior, it would naturally be able to suppress him. In fact, he also had a powerful magic tool, but if he relied on it to defeat Ling Han, he would not be able to regain his confidence. Moreover, Ling Han also had an artifact. If they were to fight, he might not necessarily win. Lost again. Hong Tianliang climbed up and walked back the way he came. His body was really desolate. Ling Han sighed. He really wanted to advise everyone not to take him as a target to surpass and compare with. Otherwise, they would only be beaten badly. In the outside world, exclamations of surprise resounded all over as well. This result was truly unexpected. Who would have thought that Ling Han would actually be so ferocious, defeating Hong Tianliang like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, as expected of the second Hong Tian step? Do you guys think that in the future, Ling Han will be able to fight for the position of the number 1 genius of Hong Tian's step martial art? That is absolutely impossible. Hong Tian's step is a heaven-suppressing monster, and there is only one of him in the world. That's true. Ling Han has only defeated Hong Tianliang. He is still too far away from that person. Let's not talk about anything else. That person is already at the 3rd level of the extreme bone realm. It is said that his battle strength is comparable to an inscription realm. What kind of concept is that? If he really met Hong Tian's step, he would be able to crush Ling Han with a single finger. Everyone had reached a consensus. That was that Ling Han could not match up to Hong Tian's step. He did not even have the qualifications to be compared to him. Ling Han found a surveillance blind spot and entered the spirit-nourishing gourd. He had a good sleep and absorbed the energy from the gourd to improve his body in all aspects, especially his mental energy. Ling Han now had high hopes for it. A night passed, and Ling Han came out of the gourd. He did not cultivate. His secret power had already reached the peak of the first transformation. What he needed now was to stabilize his realm. There was no more room for improvement. He continued to search for ultimate bone realm demonic beasts. Although he was currently ranked first, without any continuous increase in points, he would still be overtaken by others. Half a day later, he found the third ultimate bone realm demonic beast. It was a goat, but it had a single black horn. Its entire body was covered in long silver fur, and it looked majestic. Ling Han exchanged blows with it, but he was utterly defeated. He did not even have the chance to summon his flying sword before he fled in a sorry state. He even had to use blood chi seething. The goat chased for a few minutes before it gave up, and turned around to return. Fuck, this goat was at least a 3-bone existence. It was too strong. That black bear was 2-bone, and it was already extremely difficult to kill. 3-bone would definitely be even harder to kill. Just leave like that. Ling Han shook his head. He had made a decision. Break through to the second transformation. After breaking through to the second transformation, there would definitely be an increase in his strength. His secret power and stamina would change very little, but he would open up the upper limit for further improvement. However, his spiritual power would skyrocket. Come on. After these few battles, Ling Han also felt that his realm was sufficiently stable. He found a surveillance blind spot, entered the spirit nurturing gourd, and began to break through to the second transformation. This was an increase in the level of life. Ling Han discovered that there seemed to be countless chains in his body, and the increase in his realm was to break these chains, thereby achieving a leap in the level of life. He found a chain and began to break it. Very quickly, he tore the chain apart, but this was not enough to complete the second transformation. Thus, he continued to tear off the next chain. Clang, clang, clang. A loud sound came from his body, and the chain fell off, releasing his life force and rushing to a higher level. During this process, his life force source was also being rapidly consumed. Ling Han hurriedly consumed the vermilion fruit to strengthen his life force, so that he could sustain this consumption. The chains on his body continued to struggle free, and the level of his life continued to rise. The number of vermilion fruits also continued to decrease. After Ling Han had consumed 7 vermilion fruits, the momentum of his charge finally slowed down. The second transformation. Next, he would have to accumulate for a long time before he could welcome the eruption and continue to improve his level of life. In terms of strength, Ling Han had a slight increase, but this was only opening up the upper limit. However, his spiritual power had a significant improvement, and this was closely related to his level of life. He took out the gourd and began to experiment. Xiao, the flying sword, shot out at an incredible speed. 5 times the speed of sound. Ling Han's eyes lit up, and then he threw it out with his hand again. Using his psychic power to accelerate, this time, it reached 5 times the speed of sound. Although it was only 5 times the speed of sound, it was already very, very difficult to increase such a high speed by more than 10%. Go fight! Ling Han charged back excitedly. This time, he was definitely going to overturn that goat and roast it whole. Chapter 33-25. A good story. In the outside world, everyone was still fervently discussing the matter of Ling Han being run over by that 3-bone mountain goat yesterday. They hadn't seen Ling Han's shadow for almost a whole day. This guy couldn't have been seriously injured, right? Hong Tianliang was no longer in the mood to compete, and his points hadn't changed at all. He dropped to 5th place, and 2nd place was only a few points away from Ling Han. He just needed to kill one more demon beast, and he'd surpass him. Could it be that the top 2 were going to leave the stage in such a dramatic fashion? At this time, everyone saw Ling Han appear on the screen once more. He's here again. Oh, this fellow looks a bit different. Look at his blood chi. Everyone was shocked to find that Ling Han's blood chi was extremely unstable. It was purple with a hint of black. It was obvious he'd just broken through. Heavens, he's broken through to the second transformation. Someone finally realized. What, is he crazy? He's breaking through here. To forcefully break through like that, let alone the dangerous environment, how could he have the life treasure fruit with him? Isn't he just courting death? He's really going all out. Look at his path. He's clearly trying to find that 3-bone goat. In order to win, he's even willing to risk his life. AI, what's the point of doing this? He's injured his foundation. What future does he have? Spot in the surveillance. After all, he's from the mountains. Put away the rest of the land. It's understandable that he'll ignore the bigger picture. He was definitely first, for the sake of his so immediate he could naturally benefits. Go back. However, there's no need to pay attention. The sun just happened to be rising in the future, so he naturally stopped and began to cultivate. Don't even breathe in or spit out a trace of purple chi. It's not that cultivating in the wilderness although that was what they said, was not enough. They were still watching had to go to a specific that place. Demonic goat. Half an hour later, he continued on his way. Enchanted he item even walked out of the hunting grounds clearly. 3-day deadline I can only see a flash of light. The demon goat sent out a notification, informing everyone that the hunt had ended and the point rankings were locked. Everyone wanted to cry out would increase their points. You've crossed a minor realm. As Ling Han walked out, and your upper limit of defeating a one after another has also risen by a level towards the exit. How could such a thing happen? It had to be known that advancing a minor realm in the extreme bone realm was not something that advancing a minor realm in the blood transformation realm could compare to without making a sound. Ling Han had overturned everyone's understanding and created a miracle. You call killing 3 paramount bone demonic beast's future is bleak. Xiangyuan still has the battle strength of the extreme bone stage. Although I also have an artifact. In the future, he can be considered a demonic beast. Someone said with a sigh. It would be difficult to suppress it, in the capital. Kill it. What does the paramount bone realm count for? Ling Han patted his shoulder. Sneered. You're blatantly showing off. Ling Han's points were pointed out. He had however 500 points in one go. Although he didn't have the chance to receive personal guidance from the Sage Emperor. No matter how hard the second place engravement realm cultivator, it would be impossible for him to guide him to the paramount bone realm. Therefore, on the other hand, was already set. Forming a relationship with a monster like Ling Han also began to clean up the mess to him in the future. He had just broken through. Perhaps it would allow him to stand out in his physical strength. The two walked side by side. High-energy meat to when they arrived at the plaza, roast whole lamb that one-third of the crowd had already returned, comparable to a ferocious tiger. On the high platform, it took a lot of time to roast it, which made Ling Han reminisce about the time when already still in the origin world. The crowd entered the plaza back then and stood there casually create a divine flame with just a press of his hand to personally announce the roasting results a goat was an easy task. After another half an hour, the demon goat was finally roasted. We announced that the first place of this grand hunting competition, Ling Han's index finger moved, although everyone already knew this to wolf it down. Hearing it from Chen Fengyan's now shockingly large, made their hearts tremble. After eating for half an hour, there was only a small half of the demon goat left. First to applaud. Even the two of them were clapping. Who would dare not clap with them? Immediately, the plaza erupted with enthusiastic applause. The Sage Emperor had personally announced it, Senior Tutor Hong, and the Grand Tutor had taken the lead in applauding. How stirring was this? Many people said in their hearts that they had to work hard next year to become a glorious figure like Ling Han. Chen Fengyan pressed his hands together, indicating for the crowd to stop. We are very gratified. All of you. He had just started when he suddenly stopped, raising his head to look at the western sky. The crowd did not understand what was going on with the Sage Emperor. They couldn't help but look over, but the sky in the west was clear. There wasn't a single cloud or bird in the sky. What was the Sage Emperor looking at? Your Majesty, Senior Tutor Hong walked over and called out in a small voice. They could not leave everyone here, could they? Chen Fengyan waved his hand, and Senior Tutor Hong immediately shut his mouth obediently. In Xianbei country, Chen Fengyan had supreme authority. Anyone in front of him could only listen obediently. After a while, a figure shot over from afar. With a single leap, it was more than 100 zhang. His speed was astonishing. He must have reached 4 times the speed of sound. Xiao, this figure leapt and landed on the high platform. All the guards drew their swords at the same time. Who was so bold as to challenge the sage emperor? Your Majesty. The newcomer cupped his hands in greeting to Chen Fengyan. Heaven-traversing marshal. Everyone exclaimed. This newcomer was actually one of the 4 marshals, the heaven-traversing marshal. But this elite below the sage emperor was actually covered in wounds and drenched in blood. What had happened? Chapter 3326. A Beautiful Romance. The heaven-traversing commander was one of the few engravement realm elites, but he was covered in wounds and looked incredibly pathetic. What was going on? Who in the world could injure him, and injure him to such an extent? Tang Yu and the other descendants of the heaven-traversing commander cried out in shock. He was the pillar of the Tang family. Once he fell, the Tang family's glory would be gone as well. Minister Tang, what powerful enemy did you encounter? Chen Fengyan asked gently. Your Majesty, it was a demonic rat, the heaven-traversing commander said with a bow. The people in the world only knew that the Saint Emperor was the strongest elite, but powerful people like them knew that they were worlds apart from the Saint Emperor. In front of Chen Fengyan, he only wanted to worship him. Chen Fengyan hummed in acknowledgement. Tell me the details. Yes. The heaven-traversing commander nodded and said, I was ordered to clear out the demonic beast that destroyed the village. 2 days ago, I finally encountered it, but when I led my troops to fight against it, I suffered heavy losses. He had a sorrowful expression. The 3,000 elite troops I led were all killed. To report the demonic rat's strength to your Majesty, I escaped. Ha ha ha. Please punish me, Your Majesty. In the enlightening realm. Chen Fengyan's expression was Lord Rat bowing. 3,000 elite troops had been killed, its face full of disdain. When they heard the heaven-traversing commander's words, charged over his blood boiling. Shocked. He knew the one that defeated the heaven-traversing commander was a demonic beast, so he had to use his full strength. What demonic beast was so daring that it dared to commit murder in Xianbei country? Light patterns flickered, but it was so powerful. And Sword Qi surged. That was the heaven-traversing commander. This planet has really declined. Minister Tang, it was so powerful. You don't have to blame yourself. What a pity! You're not in the wrong. The rat clicked its tongue as it casually waved its front claw. We'll be able to take revenge soon. There was no flash of light. The heaven-traversing commander could not help, but turned his head to look. Been suppressed too much. He saw a black shadow. So many days have passed. It was a huge rat that was about the size of a normal person. It flew over like a ray of light, wide open, and it did not rise or fall at all. Fly, Senior Tutor Hong, a demonic rat that could fly, expert. He did not, but he was actually not a match for the rat. So why could it fly? What was even more shocking was because its realm the rat had an indescribable strength, and it could fly with its physical body. Was this rat at its strongest state? The mouse let out a strange laugh. Everyone had doubts in their hearts. So the so-called emperor is here. Could the sacred emperor defeat this rat? This
It
was
wasn't
indeed
that the
the sacred
demonic
emperor wasn't
rat that
strong
had
enough,
escaped from the
but
formation,
that the demonic
compared
rat was
to that
too
day,
terrifying.
it was
Do
unknown
you
how
also
many
want
to
to be
be
sent
flying
flying
by
by
Lord
Lord Rat?
After
The
escaping
demonic
from its
rat looked at
weakened
Yang
state,
Bai and grinned.
it was so
revealing
powerful
two
that it made
large
people
incisors.
despair.
Yang
Even
Bai
an
snorted,
enlightening realm
but he didn't
cultivator has
retreat
such
even
strength.
half a step.
How dare
Hee
you?
hee.
Lord Rat's
Senior
ears
tutor
have grown
Hong and
tired
Yang
of
Bai
hearing these
immediately
days.
shouted,
What
"Two
invincible sacred
insignificant
emperor,
people who are
what
only in the
peerless within the
engraved
sacred
realm
emperor
dare
universe
to be so impudent
Lord
in
Rat
front
will
of
show
Lord
you
Rat?"
today that even
The
the
rat
so-called
said
sacred
coldly,
emperor
"What
can
heaven
only crawl
traversing
beneath
commander?
Lord Rat's feet.
You really know how to
The
boast
demonic
shamelessly.
rat was extremely
You were
arrogant.
slapped to the ground
It
by
released
Lord
its
Rat's
own
claw.
aura.
If
And
it
it was
wasn't
like
for
a
the
raging
fact that I
wave
wanted
that
to
rushed
use
in all
him as a
directions,
guide to get rid of all
this
of you,
aura was
do
incomparably
you really
terrifying.
think that trash like
And
you
even
can
Yang
escape
Bai's
from Lord
body
Rat's
trembled,
hands?
as if a
His
gust of
hearing
wind
this,
could blow him
everyone
over.
felt a chill
If
down
even
their
someone
spines.
as strong as
This
Yang Bai was
demonic
like
rat
this,
was clearly
then there was
targeting
no
the
need to
sacred
mention
emperor.
the others.
What kind of
Everyone in the
confidence was
plaza
this?
knelt on the ground.
It didn't even place
It had
the
to be
sacred
known that
emperor
these
in its
people were
eyes.
all pillars
But
of
if what it said
Xianbei's
was
state,
true,
but they
then
were
even the
unable to
heaven-traversing
withstand a single
commander
aura
was not
from the
its
demonic
match.
rat.
Just how
What did this
powerful
mean?
was this rat?
A single
It might
demonic
really
rat
be able
could
to
sweep
fight
through
against the
Xianbei's
sacred
state.
emperor.
Ling Han
Senior
was also
tutor Hong
unable to
and Yang
stand, but did not
This
reveal
pressure
any
was too
expressions of
terrifying.
fear.
But how
Because
could
Chen
he possibly
Fengyan was
kneel to a
standing
rat
behind
demon?
them.
His
His
body
body
fell
fell
backwards, and
There
he
was a
sat on the
belief that
ground.
as long as
Just
their
as
sacred
Yang Bai
emperor
was
was unable
present,
to endure
he
any
could
longer,
suppress everything.
and his spine
You've
was
seen
about
His
to
Majesty.
bend,
Why
a
aren't you
hand
bowing?
reached out from
Senior
behind
tutor
and
Hong
pressed
said
down on his
coldly.
shoulder. Instantly, a wave of energy circulated, allowing him to once again straighten his back. "Your Majesty." Yang Bai was so moved that he was about to cry. Chen Fengyan nodded. "Yang Bai, go to the side and rest." "Yes, Your Majesty." Yang Bai replied respectfully. He naturally knew that he was completely no match for this rat demon. He couldn't even match its aura, and if he tried to help, he would only be dragging Chen Fengyan down. Huh? The rat demon revealed a look of surprise, and stared at Chen Fengyan. How can a mere enlightened state rival Lord Rat's aura? Unless you're not at the enlightened state. This is my land, and you've harmed my people. Today, I will make you pay with your blood. Chen Fengyan said indifferently, as if he wasn't facing an indescribably powerful great demon, but an extremely ordinary demon beast. Ha ha ha, shameless boasting, truly shameless boasting. The rat demon laughed loudly. Chen Fengyan leapt up, his speed indescribable, and in an instant, he appeared in front of the rat demon, as if he had been standing there all along. Bang! Chen Fengyan's fist blasted out, and the rat demon was sent flying. One punch done. Fuck! Chapter 3328. He'd killed it without any hesitation. This demon rat's strength completely crushed the four marshals. Although he didn't know what the life core realm was, it was definitely above the enlightenment realm. Chen Fengyan hadn't even considered the fact that such an expert had willingly submitted to him. It had to be said that this heavenly emperor was truly magnanimous. Killing my people? Who cares how strong you are? This was a kind of attitude. The Black North nation couldn't be offended, and the people couldn't be touched. Otherwise, a debt of blood would be paid in blood. Quite a few people were so moved that they started crying. To have such a heavenly emperor, what more could they ask for? Your Majesty, Heavenly Emperor. Spontaneously, at least 90% of the people knelt down and prostrated themselves before this heavenly emperor. Chen Fengyan raised his hand, motioning for the crowd to rise. Ling Han, come with me. Ling Han nodded, and similarly gave this saint emperor a thumbs up in his mind. Previously, when he saw the pathetic performance of Chen Xingjie and the others, Ling Han looked down on Chen Fengyan slightly. Xianyuan Dingwa was right. Now, he understood that the dragon indeed had 9 sons. If not for his relationship with the Vajra general, he leaped forward and followed behind Chen Fengyan to death 100 times over. Chen Fengyan didn't bring him to the palace. Instead, he led him into the mountains, but he wasn't the type to swallow his anger. Even his own father was someone Ling Han energy recovery pills were all you're doing. Chen Fengyan didn't mention teaching Ling Han martial techniques. He would definitely fight the Vajra general. Asked about something completely unrelated. Ling Han said coldly, glaring at Qin Zhengqiu. But then he remembered that Chen Fengyan was the ruler of the Black North nation. Qin Zhengqiu didn't care at all, and continued to ridicule him, drawing hatred to himself. This wasn't a bad thing. With the thought, Ling Han's blood surged. I do have some accomplishments in the Tao of Alchemy demon that pounced not just the Tao of Alchemy, right? Qin Zhengqiu hadn't expected Ling Han to suddenly attack. Ling Han chuckled. The pressure of his aura hide the heavenly emperor's knowledge of the Tao of Alchemy in an instant. So he readily admitted it was completely unprepared. Very good, and his face immediately paled. If it's just cultivation was an ability unique then you to the blood transformation realm yourself. Although it wasn't very effective, the Tao of Alchemy is a great contribution to go limp. Thank you, Saint Emperor. And they might even collapse Ling to the ground. Ling Han cupped his hands in greeting. Qin Zhengqiu was the Vajra general's strength was unfathomable. And no matter how disdainful in this world where strength still had some strength. He was indeed worthy of his respect. Cultivation. Of course, how could he be so frightened by Ling Han's aura? He would never fear anyone. Even so, his entire body was trembling and said, and he didn't originally Ling Han's I only plan to teach you one martial skill. You actually know demon techniques? Since you have contributed so much, suddenly said, if I were to only teach you one martial skill, the third blood transformation is a blood chi too petty. It's not strange for it to take the form of a demon, right? Then another Majesty can reward me with some treasure. Was probably a bit lower. It would be best if they are of the life attribute. His head. This isn't just an empty form and couldn't help but laugh. It still contains spirit. You really aren't polite at all. So you definitely didn't visualize the demon is magnanimous and but rather cultivate a corresponding technique. I'm just stating my needs truthfully. Ling Han was shocked. Ling Han said, this person's eyesight really wasn't simple. It's best to walk the path of cultivation on your own. Into a beast. Don't always think of shortcuts. But had instead naturally taken the form of a demon experiencing some hardships and setbacks something to do with also beneficial. If he didn't want to give it to him, into his bones, then so be it. Hand over the technique you're cultivating. Ling Han ridiculed and said calmly as he looked at Ling Han. But of course he wouldn't say it out loud. Xianyuan Dingwa couldn't help but thought about it and said, who do you think you are? This emperor will tell you about my brother to hand over his technique? Ah, you're not teaching me any martial skills? Aside from the young tiger Ling Han was startled at first, all the other cloaked figures but he was not disappointed. At the same time. That was because judging from Chen Fengyan's tone, Qin Zhengqiu's face was originally filled with anger after trembling, stingy, but now he revealed a cold smile. Since the esteemed guests were already at loggerheads with Xianyuan Dingwa, there was no need for him to interfere. All he had to do was watch the show. Who had Xianyuan Dingwa ever been afraid of? He pushed out with both hands, colliding with Man Hongsheng. A victorious smile appeared on Man Hongsheng's face. He was at the peak of the 5 changes, and his blood chi was boiling. How terrifying was his strength now. However, before his smile faded, his eyes became extremely shocked, and his whole body was sent flying. Pa! He fell heavily to the ground, his limbs spread wide, and he could no longer move. Too weak. Brother Wolf laughed strangely, and with a shake of his body, that inflated body actually shrank back. Ha! Ling Han was surprised. Brother Wolf had obviously also exploded just now. Although he did not reveal his blood chi, once the blood chi boiled, it could not be stopped. How could this person stop midway? Didn't this mean that he could still explode a second, third, or even 100 times? Who else? Brother Wolf leaped out, stepped on Man Hongsheng's chest, and looked at the crowd. All of you are trash, not a single one of you can fight.